Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're opening a case file that is literally going to make you question everything you think you know about reality. We are stepping right into a dark, official FBI investigation of a mystery so profoundly disturbing and honestly so completely unexplained that it continues to haunt absolutely every single person connected to it. So, dim the lights, focus your attention, and get ready, because we're taking a chronological descent into one of the most chilling investigations ever put on record. Let's get started.
Okay, let's just jump right into this by examining a terrifying 911 call from October 17, 2024. The time is exactly 2:43 a.m. The location is Black Hollow Road in West Virginia. The operator answers doing the standard "what's your emergency," right? Well, the caller is barely able to breathe. He whispers that a man is just standing in the middle of the road. When the operator asks who it is, this dead silence stretches for several agonized seconds before the caller finally responds, "Me. He's me." And then the call just abruptly disconnects. When police arrive minutes later, the road is totally empty. There's no driver, no footprints, just an abandoned vehicle and a cell phone lying there, still connected to emergency services, with the sound of someone still breathing on the other end.
And that brings us to Section 1, the impossible 911 call.
So this bizarre case gets assigned to veteran FBI investigator Ethan Brooks. Now, Brooks is a guy known around the Bureau for his meticulous nature. He has a real track record for solving the impossible. But the evidence he uncovers right out of the gate here, it completely defies logic. The abandoned car they found on Black Hollow Road is registered to a man named Michael Turner. The problem with that? Michael Turner was officially declared dead 3 years ago. Yet somehow, security footage captured him appearing totally alive in multiple states years after his supposed death, and it all culminates in his vehicle being found abandoned, left running in the middle of the night on this foggy West Virginia road.
Obviously, Brooks travels into the local town to get some answers. But man, the residents are terrified. Won't even look him in the eye terrified. And they absolutely refuse to talk about Black Hollow Road. The atmosphere is just suffocating with fear. Finally, inside this quiet little roadside diner, one elderly man leans in and gives Brooks this chilling, incredibly specific warning. Read this quote with me. "Never stay there after 2:43 a.m.
As you might guess, that warning only fuels his curiosity, which leads us to Section 2, the ringing forest payphone. That very night, Brooks decides to brave the dark, foggy woods surrounding Black Hollow Road entirely alone. And the deeper he goes into the trees, the more isolated he becomes. He is completely enveloped in this unnatural, heavy silence. And then, the sheer psychological terror really sets in. Because out of nowhere, miles from any working power lines, an abandoned, rusted payphone standing all alone among the trees suddenly begins to ring. Just imagine that for a second. The dead, heavy silence of the forest, completely shattered by that jarring, mechanical echo. Brooks, driven by his FBI training, slowly reaches out and picks up the receiver. He answers it. But the voice on the other end isn't a police dispatcher. It isn't some random stranger. It's his own voice. And it delivers a desperate, whispered warning. If you're hearing this, don't turn around. But Ethan Brooks disobeys that warning. He slowly, terrifyingly turns around. And he locks eyes with a figure standing silently right there on the empty dirt road. The figure has his exact face. It is a literal identical doppelganger. But here is the really creepy part. While the real Ethan Brooks is this terrified, highly trained agent trying to comprehend an absolute nightmare, the figure in the darkness is just standing there, completely still and smiling. That silent smile leads us right into our next even more disturbing discovery. Section 3, the future grave. So this smiling figure reaches into its jacket, pulls out a single old photograph, tosses it right onto the damp road, and then just vanishes into the fog. Under the beam of his flashlight, Ethan examines this impossible image. It's a picture of a graveyard under the moonlight, and it's centered perfectly on a tombstone bearing his own name, Ethan Brooks. But wait, look at the death date engraved on the stone. It hasn't happened yet. It reads October 31st, 2026. He is literally standing in the woods holding a photograph of his own impending demise. And while his brain is trying to process this horrifying impossibility, the next anomaly strikes. Ethan looks down at his watch. The hands violently snap forward, and then they just freeze. He checks his phone. It's frozen too. Every single clock, every device in the area violently locks on to one single time, 2:43 a.m. That's the exact time of the initial impossible 911 call we talked about earlier, the exact time the old man in the diner warned him about. Suddenly, the whole atmosphere shifts.
The forest falls into a complete, dead silence. I mean, no wind, no nocturnal animals, absolutely nothing. And then, emerging from the darkness beside the road, dozens of people appear, and they are all acting exactly like the doppelganger, entirely silent and just smiling. And standing right there in the middle of them is Michael Turner, the man who has been dead for 3 years. Slowly, in this deeply eerie unison, the entire crowd raises their arms, pointing deeper into the pitch-black woods.
This brings us to Section 4, the underground radio station.
At this point, trapped in a total psychological unraveling where his reality is completely fractured, Ethan feels like he has absolutely no choice but to obey them. This wasn't just some random walk, it was a guided descent. Step 1, he follows the direction the smiling crowd is pointing. Step 2, he starts tracking this strange, distorted radio signal echoing through the trees. Step 3, hidden beneath the overgrown brush of the forest floor, he actually discovers a heavy, rusted metal hatch. And Step 4, he opens it up and begins climbing down a ladder, physically descending into the earth, right into an abandoned underground bunker.
Once his flashlight beam illuminates the space down below, he makes a bizarre, incredibly dusty discovery. It's a fully abandoned underground radio station. But way more disturbing than the old broadcasting equipment is what is lining the walls. We're talking floor-to-ceiling shelves covered with hundreds upon hundreds of VHS tapes. And every single tape is labeled with a date. Some are from the deep past, but impossibly, many of them are labeled with dates from the future. It's like a massive underground library of impossible timelines.
And that brings us to the real climax of this investigation. Section 5, the cursed VHS tape.
So, out of all those hundreds of tapes sitting in that sea of analog plastic, Ethan's attention is magnetically, inexplicably drawn to just one specific tape. He wipes the thick dust away from the spine and reads the label. It says, October 31st, 2026. The exact date from the photograph, his own future death date. With shaking hands, he walks over to a dusty television monitor and an old VCR sitting on a desk, and he slowly pushes the tape into the player.
The screen flickers to life, and the analog horror unfolds right in front of him. The footage shows an empty, silent Black Hollow road, presumably in that future timeline. The point of view acts like a slow-moving camera, drifting away from the road and approaching a dark graveyard. It methodically moves through the moonlight until it stops entirely, centering right on a tombstone. And the name clearly marked on it is Ethan Brooks.
He is literally standing there watching a video of his own impending grave. And just as the dread peaks, the silent, eerie footage suddenly shatters. The screen violently distorts. Harsh static, loud audio pops, and heavy screen glitches tear through the monitor. It represents this terrifying physical break in reality itself, down inside this underground bunker.
And then, the final, horrific reveal cuts right through the static. A face appears on the screen. It's Ethan Brooks, but it's an older version of him. He is bleeding, his eyes are wide with absolute primal terror, and he looks directly into the camera lens, directly at his past self, and delivers this warning. If you're watching this, don't come back to Black Hollow Road.
The tape just ends, leaving Ethan completely alone in the dark, with implications that shatter the very boundaries of reason. And honestly, we are left staring at some deeply unsettling, unanswered questions. First and foremost, who or what was that second Ethan Brooks standing up there on the road? Was it a ghost? Was it some kind of physical duplicate? Or a projection from a ruptured timeline? And the mysteries just keep stacking higher. Like, why was Michael Turner, a man officially declared dead for 3 years, seen alive on multiple security cameras, only to be found standing inside that silent, smiling crowd in the woods? How can a missing, deceased man physically point the way to an underground bunker? It's absolute madness. Which leads us to ask the bigger picture. What is actually hidden beneath Black Hollow Road? Who built that underground radio station in the first place? Who is filming these tapes of the past and the future? And why on earth are they stored down there in the dark, just waiting for an investigator to find them? What dark secrets remain buried in the earth beneath West Virginia?
But you know, the most chilling question of all, the one that guarantees this case file remains wide open, is this. What truly happens on October 31st, 2026? Ethan Brooks was warned by his future, bleeding self not to return. But that date is fast approaching. Will he be able to stop his fate, or is the timeline already locked in place? We've explored the evidence today, but the true nature of Black Hollow Road remains a terrifying anomaly. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer,
And remember, stay curious and never, ever stop questioning.